Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of the Benfica Independent special shows to commemorate Benfica's anniversary. With us tonight, we have a man that needs no introduction. He's won 18 titles in his whole career, coaching career that spanned from 1977 to 2001. So that's quite a ways. With us today, we have the pleasure of having Sven-Göran Eriksson. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'm fine, thank you. And congratulations then to Benfica.
Yeah, that's right. So let's get right into it. I know that you have limited time. You arrived at Benfica in 1982, 1983, or for the 1982 season, after an extremely good season with IFK. You were relatively unknown when you reached IFK. Talk to us. How did you arrive at Benfica? How did that come about?
Well, I think the reason why Benfica showed interest was two. There were two. First of all, I was successful with Gothenburg. We won UEFA Cup at that time. That's like Europe League today, more or less. So that's the first reason. Second reason was that a Swedish guy called Börje Lantz, he worked like an agent. I didn't know him, but he was, unfortunately he's dead now. But he was Swedish, but he lived in Lisbon or Cascais. And I think he was a close friend to the Benfica board. So Benfica didn't go very well at that time. Gothenburg did very well. So he phoned me up when Gothenburg, I think we were in semi-final or something like that. And he said, would you be interested in going to Benfica? I said, of course, I would. And it started there. So probably he had meetings with Fernando Martins, who was president at that time.
Yep.
And that was how it started.
Right. Chris?
Oh, Coach, how you doing? Cristiano Oliveira. Listen, I just wanted to tell you it is an absolute dream come true, an absolute thrill to be speaking to you. As a 4-year-old, when I first fell in love with Benfica, you were my head coach, and ever since then, you've been my head coach, and I really appreciate everything you did for the club, and absolutely, you're an absolute icon with the club.
Thank you.
Get back to you're welcome. You're welcome. Adding to Alfredo's questions here, you're right to take over a Benfica team which hadn't won a league title in 5 seasons. One of the biggest requests by the president at the time was that you return Benfica to their old glory, winning ways. What were some of the objectives that the coach and that the president first required of you when you arrived in Lisbon?
Well, of course, we had meetings and we signed a contract and things like that. And yes, he was a very, very nice man. He treated me very well, and I felt welcome from the first day. He didn't really said, Mr. Eriksson, you have to win, but he declared that they hired me because they want to win. They want to come back to winning titles. And one of the first thing he showed me was a trophy room in Benfica. And my confidence didn't go up by seeing that. That's amazing, the trophy room. But then I understood, well, Sven, here you have to win. In other way, you will be not very old in this club.
Yeah. At the time that you joined Benfica was full of national team players. I mean, Manuel Bento, Tony, Humberto Coelho. Who were some of the players that impressed you early on when you joined Benfica?
Well, I would say all of them, because I was not used to that kind of technique. They were technically much, much better than the Gothenburg where I came from. And when I came to Benfica, that was my first session outside Sweden. I never been working with football outside Sweden before. So the technique was amazing, and of course all the players technically better than Swedish football players. But the one who was really incredible, that was Chalana. You couldn't take the ball from him.
Yeah.
He was not a tall man, but physically he was strong. But his technique and his quick feet, that was absolutely incredible. You know, when you play the square, or what you say, you have 6 players.
The rondo.
And
rondo.
to run, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Chalana ever went in. he never missed a pass. So, no, amazing. But all of the players were technically very, very good.
What were some of your first impressions when you arrived at the Stadio da Luz? Was Benfica all you thought they were made out to be, or did they catch you by surprise with the magnitude of the club at the time?
Well, Benfica at that time, and before that time, and after that time, it's an extremely famous club in the world. And of course, what I remember of Benfica was I saw on television the Champions League, European Cup finals against Manchester, against Real Madrid, and so on. And what you remember from Benfica, that was Eusebio, of course.
Of course.
Eusebio was out of this world. So when I went there, I was nervous, of course, but extremely proud to come to such a big club at my age. And when I landed, what struck me, outside the plane, the whole press was standing. When I went off the plane, I went off by a step. And how they came in there, I don't know. But amazing.
They were on the runway waiting for you.
On the runway, yeah. So everything was much bigger than I was used to.
At the time that you arrived at Benfica, you brought different coaching ideas and different methodology. How was that received by the squad?
I think it was received rather well. And I heard 1 year, maybe 2 years after I started. I heard from, I think it was Tony, and especially also Umberto Coelho, that because Benfica, they had some old players as well with a lot of experience, like Umberto Coelho, like Bento, of course. Pietra was one of them. Nene was another one of them. They were some years younger than me, but not very much. So they could easily have said, no, we don't want that coach.
Mm-hmm.
But what I heard, Umberto told me that they made like an agreement between them and saying, let's listen to this young coach, what he has to offer. At least he has won something in Europe lately, and we in Benfica, we haven't. So I think they gave me some spare time to curiosity, because I remember the first training, and they were waiting to run, and they were asking me, when are we going up to the mountains to run? I said, we're not going to run, we're going to play football. And where are we going? No, we're not going anywhere. I said, we're going to stay here. You have a perfect training ground. And I started with the ball there as I was used. So they were very, very surprised. And I thought, some of the directors thought, you cannot get fitness by playing football. You must run up and down until you threw up. But that was not my idea. So I think in the beginning there was some news for them, and maybe good news, I hope.
Coach, in the middle of your first season, you went back to your old club, IFK Gothenburg, to pick up a player you knew you were very familiar with, and Glenn Stromberg. Did you feel he was a player you guys were missing at the time? Did you feel he was a player that could come over to Europe and Portugal and add quality to this club right away?
Yes, I thought so, because I thought we needed one physically very, very strong player in the midfield. And also, not only physically strong, he's tactically good as well. probably he didn't have the technique as Chalana and Carlos Manuel and those, but he had other things which we added that to the squad in Benfica, and I think it was good. It was very good. But he was extremely surprised when he came. He told me after the first training he was scared. He said, "I don't have a chance technically with these players," but he learned quickly, and I think he became an important player for the club.
Yeah, your first season at the club, you went on an absolute tear in the first 15 games without a defeat. One of the games that sticks out in my memory and in many Benfica's memories was the fixture with Roma, in which we beat them and we got past them. What memories do you have from that game that you could share with us?
I think we surprised Roma. Roma at that time, they were fighting for winning the league in Italy, and I think they won it as well that year. And they had a Swedish coach, and I went to scout Roma before those games, and I met the Swedish coach, which I never met before, Mr. Lidon, Nils Lidon was his name. And talking to him, we had also dinner together. He was absolutely secure that Benfica wouldn't be any problem at all for Roma, because Roma was one of the best teams in Italy at that time, maybe the best, and they had Falcao, the king of everything, the king of Rome for sure. And a lot of good players, Conti, Graziani, Pruzzo. So I think it was a surprise that and I think we were technically better than Roma. We could keep the ball, and we didn't come there to defend only. Of course, you have to defend, but we came there to also attack them and make life difficult for them. And I think we did 2 very, very good games against an extremely good team. That would have been probably the final in the UEFA Cup that year.
Yeah.
Coach, every time you speak to former Benfica players, old glories, guys who had success with the club, they always speak about the Inferno of Estádio da Luz. Did you feel that Estádio da Luz was a place where teams were intimidated to play in? And did you feel that the home factor was something you could count on, especially in European competitions?
Yes, of course. And I spoke since then, I spoke to many players which has played there during my time or before or after my time. And they say the same thing, everything. That was amazing. The old stadium, not the new. Well, the new one is beautiful, but it was not the same impact. And they all said when they ran out there, and it was like running into a wall of people. And I think that stadium was extremely famous for what it had, especially in the big games. And also, it was a little bit frightening. I talked to Ian Rush, for example, and he said that was amazing. He said he played in every stadium in the world, more or less. But he said that was incredible, he said. That's a good vote.
Yeah. In the 83-84 season, your second season at Benfica, you brought Manish. Was he a player that you felt was missing in his squad because he was tall, he was strong, he was physical? Did you feel that Benfica needed that presence in the box?
Well, Tony and I, we were looking for a big, strong striker. Tony, my assistant. Tony of Benfica, Antonio. But I don't think our president, Fernando Martins, he was not that sure, I think. So he didn't want to spend a lot of money. So we were looking at a lot of players and expensive players. And finally we found this guy. We went in East Germany, I think we were to look at him a game in the summer. And we said, okay, we take him because physically he was something very, very special. He was not technically the best of footballer and maybe not one of Europe's best strikers, but he could do a job. And I think he did a good job.
Yep.
And he was a very good man because he knew that he was technically not good and things like that. And I think the players liked him and the fans started to like him as well.
Absolutely. Coach, at the end of the 83-84 season, you unfortunately left Benfica for the aforementioned AS Roma. Did you feel this was the next logical step in your career, and how was it received by the president at the time, Fernando Martins?
No, it was not received very well, I must say, because he didn't want me to leave. But I had a clause in the contract saying that if something like this comes up, I could leave. And I was not sure 100% to do it, but together with my agent there, Börje Lantz, I thought Italy is, I think Italy at that time had the best football in the world.
Yeah.
If you looked at the league, so it was a step, big step for me. So I accepted it with some tears, I must say.
Yeah. So after 5 seasons in the Calcio, you returned to Portugal. Did you find a different Benfica after 5 years?
Yeah, a lot of things were changed. I think the team was still very, very good. We didn't have those really experienced players as we had during my first time. I think players like Pietra, Bento, Nene, Umberto Coelho, at the first time I was there, they were extremely important for the club because they set the standard and they were very professional, of course, and they helped the coach very, very much. And I think we missed maybe some of those players during my second time, but the team was still very good, very good.
What made you return to Portugal and Benfica at the time? I mean, you came back in July, 1989, and you had a very successful second stint with Benfica. Something we don't, see often now. You see a coach who's back for a second stint with Benfica. Now things aren't going too well. But you came back. What made you come back to Benfica, and what were some of the differences that you noticed right away from your first stint?
It's always a danger coming back to the same club you worked in, and especially if you had some success the first time you were there. So, but I finished in Roma. I liked that, and I ended up in Fiorentina. In Fiorentina, they didn't have the ambition to win trophies. They had the ambition to be in Serie A. They want to be a middle team, and the best they could do maybe reaching UEFA Cup place. So when the new president at that time, Brito, asked me, or he asked my agent, Mr. Lantz, if I wanted to come back, I thought, I would want to start to win trophies again. So, because I had followed Benfica, of course. I knew they had a good team, and I knew that the chances to win something are rather big. So that's why I returned, and I felt like home, of course, coming back. And during that time in Italy, my family, we had also bought a house because even if we bought that house before it was clear that I should come to Benfica for the second time because we loved the country so much and the area, Cascais, Estoril and out there. Beautiful. So we bought a house which we thought we should have for the future, but the future came very quickly.
Well, you didn't win a Portuguese title that first season you came back, but you did lead the team to what is now known as the Champions League final against the almighty AC Milan that had Rijkaard, that had Van Basten, that had Ruud Gullit. What are some of the memories that you have of that final?
Well, first of all, the semi-final against Olympique Marseille, that was something very, very special. I think we won. I don't know if we should have won it or not, but we won it. And I think we played very well away against them. And yeah, we did good. So that was because Olympique Marseille at that time, they had a very, very good team, and they wanted to win the Champions League or European Cup or whatever it was called. And the chairman they had, he was very special, and he was sure to win it. Then the final, at that time, Milan, probably they were the best club team in the world, and been so for, they was the best club team in the world for many, many years. And if you look at the lineup they had, that was amazing. They have the 3 Dutch players, one better than the other. They are 190, they are quick, they are technically good. They had everything. And then they had Baresi, Maldini, Ancelotti, Evani, and so on and so on. So we didn't start that game like favorites, but we had prepared it good, I think. And of course, we wanted to defend against them. And I think we didn't play brilliant, and it was not a brilliant football match at all. But we had big problems to come in behind the 4-back line of Milan. Very difficult. Mm-hmm. We did it a couple of times, but at the same time, I think we defended very well, and we didn't offer many chances for Milan to score. They scored with the 2 Dutch, 2 of the 3 Dutch players were involved in that goal.
Yep.
And we couldn't come back. That was sorry. But that's not, I know that the Benfica supporters were very, very disappointed, and I was disappointed as well. And the critics were that we didn't attack and we didn't play as good as we should have done. But to attack against that team, that was very, very difficult. They were very aggressive and very short team and difficult.
Yeah,
so
Milan.
Looking at it from distance, I think they were better than we were. And sometimes you have to say that, okay, congratulations then, even if it hurts.
Yeah, they were a fantastic side at the time. Fantastic team. Coach, but listen, you mentioned Marseille in the semifinal, and I'm pretty sure you've been asked this question a million times, and I have to clear this up, okay? Was that Vata goal against Marseille handball, or was it a legal goal?
It was very strange because I didn't see anything from the bench, and I don't think many players saw anything strange with that goal. There were some of the Marseille players, but it was after the game it became huge. I know the president of Marseille, he got crazy. He ran up in the middle of the press conference and screaming, and he was absolutely furious. So after the press conference, I went down to the dressing room and I went to Vata and said, "How did you score that goal?" And Vata told me, "Do I need to answer that question?" No, I said, "You don't need to ask that question." But he answered it anyhow, but he never admitted it. But probably it was maybe handball. Yeah.
Hey, in the history books, it counted, and that's all that matters to Benfica and Benfiquistas all over the world.
Yeah. You had now been to 2 European finals with Benfica. Both of them you came up on the short end. Surely you have heard of the Bella Gutmann curse. Do you believe the Bella Gutmann curse?
No, it's against my principle of life to believe in things like that. But of course, I can understand that it's still going on, isn't it? Or am I
Yes.
Yeah,
wrong?
yeah. Unfortunately,
Yeah. So you wonder. No, I don't believe in it. I don't want to believe in it.
Yeah.
I think we were against Milan there during my time. It was difficult to beat them. I must say that. The UEFA Cup final against
Anderlecht.
Anderlecht, yeah. I think we should have won that. We deserved to win it. At the end, we didn't. But Tony had Benfica against PSV Eindhoven,
PSV. Yep,
and
PSV.
that went to penalties. So very, very close.
Yeah.
Let's hope
Yeah, yeah.
that they will win the final soon.
Hey, it was fantastic teams that were making final runs, and it was a wonderful time at the club during those seasons. And we're far from that, but as you said, I don't believe in the curse, because the minute you start believing in the curse, you're defeated. So we got to keep hoping, and we got to keep looking forward and striving to be great and return to those finals, so we can hopefully win one or two of those finals. Getting back to the 1990-91 season, Coach, you won the Portuguese title. You had 3 Swedes at the team at the time: Jonas Tern, Mats Magnussen, Stefan Schwarz. How did you feel the Swedish players complemented the Portuguese players on that team?
Well, Mats Magnussen, he was there before I signed, and I mean he did a great job for Benfica during all the years, and I don't know how many goals he scored for Benfica, but that was a lot of them. Then when you take the other 2, which I wanted them to come to Benfica, and the reason, very simple: great players, physically strong, tactically very, very good. Tern more brilliant than Schwarz, a little bit different. And I mean, that was ordinary players in the Swedish national team. And they came rather young, and I think they did a good job. Schwarz was unlucky because he broke the leg in a game. I don't remember where that was, but anyhow, he was injured for a long time.
Yeah. At that time, it also coincided with Portugal's golden generation, the emergence of the golden generation. You had a few players from that generation on your team: Abel Silva, Paulo Madeira, Paulo Sousa, Rui Bent, and then on the next season, Rui Costa. What was it like seeing those players develop into senior team players?
No, if you take Paulo Sousa, Rui Costa, I mean, you could see that these players, they will be the next generation of big Benfica, but also big Portugal, the national team. And I mean, both of them, they left Benfica, unfortunately, and they went to different parts of the football world, and they did success wherever they came. So, yeah, it was good. And I think Benfica at that time, they always came good players from below, and still the same. The academy of Benfica, what I heard, I have not been there, but what I heard is one of the best in the world. So that's good, and I think that's extremely important for a club like Benfica, because you cannot, unfortunately, you cannot compete with Manchester City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, to buy those big stars for too much money. So you have to scout players, which Benfica is extremely good to do, and you have to feed up to own players coming up.
Yep.
Coach, during your last season at Benfica, 1991-92, you didn't win any silverware. So at the end of the season, you returned to Italy to coach Sampdoria. Talk to us about your exit from the club. Were you forced out, or did you feel your time in Portugal had come to an end?
Well, I don't know how many know about this, but before my last year there, I had an offer from Inter Milan, and the club didn't let me go. Who was sport director? What was his name? Tall guy, famous guy, good guy.
At Benfica at the time?
At Benfica at that time.
Alfredo's a little older.
The former player?
No.
I can't.
Well,
I can't
the sport director. Anyhow, he said no. So we started the season, and for some reason, I don't know, we were not as good as we were the 2 years before, or well, it was my worst season at Benfica, and something went wrong, and I don't know if the players got fed up with Eriksson or what it was, but it was not a really good season, I must say, unfortunately. And with the standard I had and ambitions the club had and things like that, it was not one brilliant year, no.
Yep. During your time at Benfica, somebody that was always present and close to the team was Eusebio. Talk to us about how important Eusebio was to be around, and what kind of mystica did he transfer to the players?
Well, he was very good with the players, and he talked to the players. And of course, if you are young, maybe not a regular player in the first team, and Eusebio comes to you, only if he says hello, will lift up the player. And I remember every time we traveled, playing away, friendly games, pre-season games. We were in Canada very often, Toronto. We were in New York. We were in Africa, Mozambique, Angola. And I mean, Eusebio, that was, you don't believe it if you don't see it, how famous, how big he was. And I mean, for Benfica to have that figure to show the rest of the world, that's incredible. Fantastic.
Yep.
During your time at Benfica, Coach, you had a very iconic look. You became very famous for wearing the white Macieda hat. How did that come about? Was it a sponsorship deal, or just a fair-skinned Swede trying to protect himself from the Portuguese sun?
Both. Because my agent, Berlanzi, said, you need a hat. And he said, because the sun is very strong. And I said, okay. And he fixed a special hat, and it came a lot of wine to my house every month, and liquor and things like that. So that was the reason. And I don't remember, but some money, I suppose. But I think it was more money for the agent than for me.
You got the wine, he got the money. That was the deal.
I think so.
As you look back now at your years at Benfica, what are some of your fondest memories, and some things that if you could take back, you would do differently?
Well, first of all, I had a lot of help from one person during all my years in Benfica, and that was Antonio Oliveira. He was my assistant. He took over after I went. So he helped me. Without him, I doubt that I would have been winning all these trophies. So part of those trophies certainly belongs to Antonio Oliveira, for sure. And I remember when I came back, he was a coach of Benfica when De Brito asked me if I wanted to come back. So I phoned up Tony before that and said to him, Tony, are you going to stay as number one in Benfica next season? No, he said, I don't think so. And I told him the reason I asking you is if you are going to stay, have the chance to stay, I will not come. I will not take your job. But if you are sure that you will not have it. I want to have you as my assistant again. And he said, come, Sven. And he became my assistant again. So it's a nice story, and he's a big man. Other things, no, I don't know. So many good memories. I think especially the first 2 years, and I was new in international, not international football, but new in outside Sweden. So, no, excellent. 5 splendid years. At least 4 of the 5 were very, very good.
And we are thrilled, Coach. We are thrilled that you spent those 5 years with Benfica. They were 5 terrific years, man. You are part of what makes Benfica great, the Benfiquismo that's running through all our veins, man. You're a huge part of that, especially guys my age and Alfredo's age. You come to mind right away. We want to be, very thankful for those times. And as you know, Coach, we are recording this as part of the club's 117th anniversary celebrations. Is there anything you'd like to say to the Benfiquistas that still regard you as one of the best coaches in team's history?
No, congratulations.
Thank you.
The big day, 117 years.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's very good. And to be Benfiquista, that's something very, very, very big. And be proud of that. And I'm sure you are proud of it. And
of course.
Benfica is one of the biggest clubs in the world. Go into the trophy room as I did, and you will recognize that this is a fantastic football club. So, congratulations, and Benfica, win. That's what you need to do.
We wanted to thank you for your time. It certainly looked like it flew by, and we wish we could probably stay here for a couple more hours and talk in Benfica, but I know you're a busy man. So we just wanted to thank you very much for your time and for a trip down memory lane on your Benfica years, and certainly Cristiano's sentiments are the same as mine. We're very privileged to be able to spend some time with you and ask you about the teams that we grew up loving, the teams that really made us be Benfiquistas and made us want to be Benfiquistas, whether it was on a playground playing with mates or whether it was just in your setting a group of friends. Tremendous pride in growing up watching that Benfica, and you're a huge part of it. So we really wanted to thank you for your time and for answering our questions.
Absolutely. And Coach, and this is going up on my highlights, on my clip. It'll for sure stay there, man. I would never in a million years think I'd ever be speaking here. And I know my dad, who left us 12 years ago, he's looking down on us right now. Thank you. He's looking down on us, smiling, because he got me, into Benfica when you were the man there, and he had nothing but, kind words all the time. He always talked about you. So I know he's smiling down on us, and I want to thank you for that. As I said before, man, it's just, it doesn't feel real. Speaking of Sven-Göran Eriksson, you know what I mean? This is just crazy. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you. And I know every Benfiquista around the world feels the same way. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Take care, Mr. Eriksson. Goodbye.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.